The Non-Prophets. I'm Denis Loubet, along with Jamie Boone and Objectively Dan. And being of similar mind and congruent aspect, we would ask your indulgence on this 4th of July, 2018, on these hallowed steps of the Austin Free Thought Library, to lend your attention to our earnest discourse that you may take comfort in our shared circumstances. This performance has not sprung forth in its fullness as Athena from the forehead of Zeus, but instead owes much of its aspect and success to the Atheist Community of Austin, that worthy assembly seeking not its own aggrandizement, but rather the furtherance of a benign impiety, and the uprooting of callous superstition from the balance of governance to the benefit of all. To banish one's ignorance of these truths and to open one's hungry mind to this worthy institution is but to call a voicemail at 512-220-6561 or to visit a website at www.atheist-community.org. The Non-Prophets breaks its silence to articulate its message of reason and goodwill every first and third Wednesday of each month from 7:30 to 9 Central Time. Indeed, if one is so inclined, one may even seek to dismiss one's more inert enjoyment and forthwith follow the directions found at www.nonprofitsradio.com and challenge the messengers themselves in their own chat room. And so, without further ado, I would entreat you to assume what comfortable demeanor you may and be entertained by our sincere and even-tempered comportment.
Well,
brilliant.
I was trying to.
You got it. It's the 4th of July,
Yeah.
and I was just like, that is a manner of speaking.
Yeah, that's
the
gone.
skill for. No, I can't even.
I thought you were possessed by the ghost of Abraham Lincoln.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
was...
if you're asking where the civility went, well, I got it all now. So
Yeah. Share, motherfucker.
I took
No.
it. Well, I'll give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the people around you want your civility and don't have any, they're going to get it.
That's right.
I want your servility.
Yes. Okay. Well, welcome. Dan, I think this is the first time you've been on the program.
On this program, yeah.
Yeah. And actually,
Cool.
Just before we started and we were sitting down and miking up, I realized I hadn't introduced Dennis and Dan until they sat down across the table from each other.
Started shaking hands, yes.
And started shaking hands, yeah. But here we are. And so, anyone have any, personal announcements? No one else's?
Just got back from a trip.
Really?
Yeah.
What
Cool.
trip was that?
I went to Columbus, Ohio for the Secular Student Alliance, a national Secular Student Alliance conference, and I gave a talk on street epistemology there, and it was really fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So my very first workshop on street epistemology,
Yeah.
and I think it was a big success. So.
Well, that's good.
neat.
What's your you have an interesting history with street epistemology. What is that?
Yeah, that's
The
right.
audience?
So I met Anthony Magnabosco about 3 years ago on a college campus when I was part of a Christian evangelist.
Who's Anthony Magnabosco?
Yeah, Anthony Magnabosco is kind of one of the pioneers of the street epistemology method. It's just a method used to talk to people and about their beliefs and stuff in kind of a non-confrontational way. And he first talked to me again like 3 years ago when I was a Christian. And there's actually my videos on his channel if you ever want to go look for it. It's called Daniel and Bo. And then something about faith. I can't remember the whole title, but it's on there. And, he talked, we had like a 35-minute conversation about my beliefs and stuff. And I was like, that was pretty awesome. A couple of years later, I'm an atheist now, and I think the method's really cool. And I do my own stuff with him now. We do the Epistemic podcast together with him and Reed Nicewonder. And we talk about street epistemology on there. And I also have my own personal channel now, also called Objectively Dan. And I'm also on Twitter and stuff. And you can also find me on the Facebook group for the study street epistemology stuff. And this was my first time going out. I've been to other workshops before, but this was my first street epistemology one where I actually led it myself. And I actually went up there with Genetically Modified Skeptic and Telltale Atheist. We went up there. They were part of my tabling team up there, so it was really fun. And yeah, my talk was one of the most popular ones at the conference. And a lot of people told me I did a good job, so I'm very pleased.
Well, it's really taken off.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you had a talk there, and that's important. And you said it's your YouTube channel is the one that's Objectively Dan, right?
Yes.
I wasn't sure whether that was a
that, my
separate
Twitter.
podcast or a...
Yeah, the podcast is called Epistemic, and you can find that on the Street Epistemology YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have your own YouTube channel.
And then I have my own YouTube channel. Not a lot of stuff on there yet. I just launched it about a month or two ago, just trying to get my own stuff out there. And I've been busy playing for the conference and stuff, but I plan on putting stuff out there soon.
Just too busy to get it all done
I know.
at once.
Well, I'm also in school still, and I'm working and stuff, so it's kind of,
So, what's an example of street epistemology?
Yeah, so it's just the way that you approach conversations. So the idea is that if you have a belief and you have a claim, there's kind of a different way you can break it down. I mean, I won't give you the whole workshop that I just did, but you kind of help, define what that belief is. Let's say you have a belief in God, and I say, okay, well, like, what does that mean? Does that mean like the universe? Does that mean like a person? Is it the Christian God, basically? And then I would kind of ask you what your reasons are for that. Maybe you had a personal experience, or maybe because you think the Bible it tells you that it's real, so it's real. So then, say you say it's the Bible, I would ask, okay, well, is that a reliable method of knowing that that's true? And it's all about asking the method, really, of people's beliefs and stuff, and kind of digging into those conversations. So there's a whole movement of people who actually go out on the street and have cameras with people and talk to them about it. And then there's just using it organically in natural conversations and stuff.
Okay.
It's been going on for about 5 years now. The majority of people that actually have those conversations, even on the other side, actually really enjoy it, in my experience. And it's just a fun time for everybody. It's not about me telling people what I believe and what I think is true. It's more about being kind of like a journalist and kind of like asking them what they believe and being a mirror to their beliefs, kind of, helping them out with that. It's pretty fun. So
Do you steer the conversation towards the ramifications of what they're saying?
Sort of. We don't always talk about religious beliefs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff about political beliefs as well. Just really any kind of truth claim about reality. So I wouldn't want to lead them anyway, because we also talk to atheists too, because there are atheists that make claims, right? If you claim there are no gods, that's a claim. That's to be analyzed. If you say that there is no truth, like with a capital T, there's no objective truth, that's still a belief. You can kind of talk about that. So, I'm not trying to lead people anywhere. Okay. I'm trying to see why they believe what they believe and whether they actually believe it, because there are people that hold beliefs that don't really understand that the methods why they believe it are very good. And if they understood that, then they might not believe it. And so that's kind of why we do what we do.
But to be clear, the Earth is flat. So
well, okay. So we could have a conversation about that, but I'm sure we got other stuff we got to talk about.
Well, that and no one believes the Earth is flat. So you went to the SSA con. You had your talk. Yeah. Was there anything else there that you saw that was particularly good, or like why even have a Secular Student Alliance conference?
Why even have a Secular Student Alliance conference? That is a fantastic question. I'll tell you why.
That I've sprung on you.
The Secular Student Alliance is a fantastic organization, and I'm happy to be a member of it, because if I didn't have the Secular Student Alliance, I wouldn't have anybody to hang out with. Okay, the town where I live, there are like no atheist groups, none at all. There's one Unitarian Universalist church, but they're kind of older. They're not really, it's just not people I can relate to very easily. So when we're on campus and we're meeting with each other and we're building community, that's really important. Most people that I know come from religious families. They come from people who don't really accept their beliefs or who they are. And what's really sad, Jamie, is there was a lot of people at this conference that wore things on their name tags that said, hey, if you take a picture of me, make sure you don't add it anywhere, don't tag it. I can't imagine another conference where you have to be not ashamed,
you have to be careful,
but scared. Because your picture being at this conference says, "Hey,
this is dangerous.
This is dangerous.
I could get fired.
You could get fired. You're a bad person for doing this." And it's a shame. It really is a shame. So having a conference where people can meet together and build that community and work on ideas to where they can improve their own communities back at their own states. We had people all the way from Puerto Rico. We had some from the Utah area, some from California. I mean, it was all over the place. It was really nice meeting everybody. I just had a blast. It means a lot to know that there's other people like you who are trying to do good in the world and trying to, just be out there, be present, so that people can see, hey, we're atheists too, and we're good people, and we're on campuses, and we're talking to people, and it's really fun. So.
So is your work mostly on street epistemology and the content you produce there, or do you do work just with SSA as well now?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a member of my local chapter, but for everything I do online, it's mostly street epistemology kinds of stuff. Occasionally I'll have some people help me with videos and stuff like that, or I'll talk about what's going on. But my group, we kind of do our own thing locally. So.
If only you knew a group of atheists that was capable of helping you with videos and stuff.
Oh yeah, if only, right? Yeah, if only I lived closer. That might be more
to Austin. No, but that's good. So if someone is interested about joining SSA or helping out with that, a lot of questions all at once. I'm basically asking you to represent like 3 different groups right now.
Right, I know. So,
how did you get involved with that initially?
Internet, looked it up, see what's in there. Now, what's interesting is the area where I'm at.
It's the best answer.
How
did this happen? Internet.
So I didn't actually realize that they were still there because it's an unofficial group. Because the one that I go to is at a private religious university.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're not actually officially recognized. So the challenges we face are we can't advertise on campus. We can't actually talk about, we can talk to other people that were there, but we can't, it's all like a word of mouth kind of.
You're not allowed to wear a shirt with your name on it.
No, can't wear like shirts for organizations and stuff and things like that. Because our president has been threatened to be kicked out before for doing that. Like we had a thing one year where we had Easter eggs that kind of had little jokes inside them, I think, and like candy in them, but it also had like the little SSA logo, and they got in trouble for that because and it wasn't even like offensive or anything. It was just a fun little.
So you guys are gonna. Sorry, at the present moment I'm watching I just watched the movie The Death of Stalin, and I've been watching The Americans, and so I'm like, so you've got dead drops, and you're going to do a brush pass, and if they walk past this area and there's a chalk mark on the wall, that's how you know there's a meeting that day.
Oh yeah,
and
No, we just meet in our so we can't rent out a room on campus either. So we just squat in the student union building. Just all sit on the couches in there and just kind of talk. So yeah, we have our own unique challenges where we're at. But that's why we need these groups.
Yeah.
Because
they're not accepted.
I would rather meet with those guys in the student union building than not know anybody and not do activities with them and stuff like that. It's definitely important work. So,
that sounds excellent. So people should go to the SSA's website.
If you are in college or you know someone who's in college and they want to join a local chapter, definitely look it up, see what's in the area. You can go to the secularstudentalliance.com.org, I think.
Secular Student Alliance's
if you know how to use Google,
online presence.
You can find it pretty easily, I think. Right. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dennis.
Yes?
Do our listeners, do we get mail here?
We do.
Are you sure we get mail?
Yes,
here?
I'm absolutely certain.
Well, I'm wondering whether we should move to. There it is.
It's objectively true that we sometimes get mail.
Flooded with it. All right.
All right.
What's our first piece of listener mail today?
Well, this one's from Richard. And he says, folks, this is a tricky email to write. I love the nonprofits, and it has in the past had guests sit in when one or two others of the regular folk have been unavailable. These guests have given the strong impression of being listeners of the podcast and thereby had an understanding of how to fit into the show. Sadly, the same cannot be said for some of the more recent episodes. The relative lack of in-depth discussion of either news or listener mail that attracted me to the show in the first place has left me wanting. Or it could be just me. Maybe I'm turning into a curmudgeon. Best wishes.
Well, I had thoughts on this even before I came in today because I was on the episode prior to this. And somewhat understand exactly what he's talking about, because effectively it was Eric and I were on the previous episode, and then it turned into Talk Heathen plus Dennis.
Oh, yeah. No,
it was a lot of fun, but I feel like that may not be what the fans and listeners
tuned in for.
What they tuned
possible.
in for, certainly.
Yeah.
And so I am trying to direct this episode and then future episodes in that direction more.
Okay.
I know that I'm around a lot and they're trying to fill spots, but I think there's something to be said for, people tune in to see, the non-prophets. I was about to say to see Jeff D. and
I
and
know.
I was like,
much of my previous hosts abandoned me. Yeah.
I was shedding a single tear. The forests are gone and now we have money. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Dan.
Yeah,
do you have any strong thoughts about...
I picked the wrong episode to be on, apparently.
No, you're good.
Because I have to be honest, I don't listen to the non-prophets.
What?
Super
Get out.
Here's the thing, I do my own podcast, right?
Sure.
And then I'm subscribed to like 50 other shows that I work with people all the time. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
But we kind of, we have guests on our show and stuff too, and it's like most people who've been on usually have never seen it before either.
Right.
So we just kind of, we just get their expertise on whatever they're there for, and then they just happen to be on for the rest of the show, and that's what I'm here for today, right?
There you go.
Well, I usually don't do news commentary stuff whole that much, but I like it. I think it's funny when when you guys talk. So I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, we just kind of alternate between listener mail and news stories.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of sections, couple of what
segments.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I think that was an important piece of listener mail to talk about, but and address positively, and then move on quickly without talking in depth about it. So, no. So that being said, I have a news item that got recently updated before I can talk about it. But I think that's the next segment we're going to go into. So, have you heard the good news? And for right now, it was going to be God news, but it is good news, I suppose, is the difference between our good and bad, which is that there is a YouTuber named Skylar Fiction who got a YouTube strike, which is...
What's that?
It's a big no-no.
So when you swing the bat and then the ball goes past you, that's a strike.
Yeah, it's one of the things. I have
no idea what that is.
Well,
first I've heard that term.
There's lots of people behind that wall that make sure you never have to hear about it.
It's like a warning to your account, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and it's a big deal if you're a big YouTuber, right? Because if you get 3 strikes and you have like 1 million followers, suddenly, it's all gone.
Right.
That, and with 1 strike, they limit the length of videos I think you can upload, but they also means after you get the strike, it's for like 60 or 90 days or something. You can't do a live stream, which was, as I understand it, a large part of Skylar's thing. So it was a big deal, and he got the content strike because he interviewed a young preacher named Matt Powell, who, so I'll go through the whole story. But wait, at the end, there's good news that I didn't think was going to be there.
Okay.
So it was back in May. Matt Powell was interviewed by Skylar Fiction on his channel. Matt Powell is sort of a young, ridiculous preacher.
He's 22. He's the same age I am.
Sure.
Yeah. I choose you over him.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Yes, but you don't say things like, atheists are just atheists because they drink a lot of Coca-Cola, play video games, and read Harry Potter all the time.
No.
They're stupid. Yeah. And scientists are hiding the truth about the sun and the moon, and he's got.
Oh, good grief!
It's a bunch of crap. At one point, he said he made some comment that was like, I think it's here. As far as homosexuality goes, I believe the Bible puts the death penalty on it. I believe it's disgusting. And incidentally, every scientific test has come back and said that homosexuals are 50 times more likely to get AIDS. We got this AIDS thing spreading. It's a fact that this is the case. I always love the phrasing at the end when a person who said something off the wall has to try and assure you that it's true.
Yeah, shore it up.
It's a fact. Believe me, this is honest, 100% science. Like,
I'm being totally sincere right now.
Totally, completely sincere. Yes. But so Skylar gave him like in the interview. He asked him about it, and it was a kind of, like, hey, are you sure? Is that what you meant? Did you seriously think this? The transcript I'm looking at here is, Skylar, you don't believe gay people should be stoned to death, do you? And then Powell repeats, I believe the Bible puts the death penalty on it. Obviously, not by me or anybody in regular society, obviously. I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals. I believe that the Bible says clearly that homosexuality is a criminal crime. What? Sorry, I didn't use the phrase criminal crime because it's fucking nonsense.
What the hell?
A criminal crime, it's a crime. It's one of the worst crimes ever. This is not a quote by our president. It just is that eloquent. And then Skylar, is that what you're advocating for, that our government should stone gays to death to execute them? And Powell responds, by whatever means they execute people, and obviously I believe in humane, putting to death.
Right.
Which is very clearly him responding to the wrong part of that question.
Yeah.
Here, I'll go back into this because I wanted to talk more about Powell and shit internet apologists say, and I'm falling into that. Yeah. But basically, he got a content strike on YouTube because on
Not
YouTube...
Not Powell, Skylar did.
Skylar, on Skylar's...
For interviewing.
For interviewing. Yeah.
Oh.
To put in a kind word about YouTube before we talk about how they done fucked up real big.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can. I mean, I'd love to hear it because...
Well, it's that they're trying to stop hate speech.
Yeah, okay.
They're trying to stop hate speech and they're trying to stop fake information. They just done fucked up real big this time.
Yeah.
Because
they may not have realized it was an interview.
And it was pointed out to me that it was actually in the Patheos article I read about this, because there's a few articles about this and that are being passed around of like, holy shit, what is YouTube doing? That Vice interviewed like the white people that support white supremacy that are responsible for Charlottesville, but they are a large company with the ability to push back on YouTube, so they're fine. And so he had this strike, and it was going to be this huge problem. But recent update that I'm not fully versed on because it came too close to airtime. The video is back up, and the strike has been removed apparently. So you fixed it.
So,
but no explanation.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Like I don't have an explanation. Right. Hopefully there is one. But the fact that the strike is gone is recent news to me.
That's good.
But yeah. So, person starting your own YouTube show. Yeah. How worried are you that you're gonna?
No, I mean, I don't. So the stuff that we do with street epistemology.
Well, yeah.
I'd say we're pretty. As far as the atheist movement goes, we're not very firebrand, I guess. Yeah. Like we try to be as objective as we can. We're just trying to talk about what other people say and stuff. I mean, and on our show, I've tried to make it a point where I don't want it to be an atheist show. I want it to be a show that everybody can kind of come in. And I've messed up on that because I mean, I give it my personal opinion sometimes, and my personal opinion is an atheist opinion sometimes, and that's kind of like, I'm not super worried about my stuff in particular, only because it would be the same thing. Like, we're interviewing other people. So, like, if we got a strike or something like that, it would be because of what somebody else is probably saying, not what we're doing.
But a strike nonetheless.
A strike nonetheless. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I would be very worried if that happened to me, for sure, because the YouTube system is not helpful for the users a lot of times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so many interesting ways to go from there, which is that you can talk about how much you can or should hinder hate speech as far as that.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's all a judgment call. And I'm sure there's millions and millions of judgment calls a day.
Yeah,
so it's like...
all being made by robots a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, something I read was that it's of the 8-point-something million videos flagged in the last few months when YouTube started their sort of crackdown on bullshit and hate speech. Not that hate speech isn't bullshit, it's just a different kind. Something like only 6 million of it was an algorithm. So
really,
yeah. so don't worry, it's only 3/4 robust.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It's 2018.
It's 2018. Let's invite the overlords now. This is when the algorithms take over. No.
It's YouTube algorithms, nonetheless. That's the worst ones.
YouTube, super objective. Well, it's an interesting thing because do constitutional protections, if we want to make it American-centric, they prevent the government from inhibiting our speech, but they don't inhibit I'm sure they're fine.
We just heard a knocking. I think that's the government now.
Yeah. Hey, no, it's Jesus. Answer the door. To what degree should we, if any, censor the internet, or should a private company that's not inhibited by the Constitution allow hate speech on its website?
Right. Well, it's up to the company. I mean,
well, yeah,
it can censor whatever it wants because it's not censorship. Censorship has to be done by the government.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know, Dan. You have a strong opinion on censorship?
That's wow. See, this is why we don't do like an opinion show on my podcast because I don't want people to comment and tell me how wrong I am about things.
Oh no,
I don't know, man.
Are you sure you want to start a YouTube show?
Yes, yeah.
Never read the comments.
Man, that's the thing, right? So I've struggled with this issue because I want to protect people, right? I don't want. There's a lot of people who have faced discrimination unjustly so through hate speech, right? I mean, we can all agree about that. But there's also this idea of censorship of speech and who is calling hate speech what, right? There's definitely people, and talking about atheism again, right? There's definitely people who would call just atheist rhetoric just hate speech, just right out of the gate, out of the blue. And I don't want to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
There are so many people, and I'm speaking in third world countries as well, Middle Eastern countries especially. Talking about Egypt now, you can't speak out loud and be an atheist in Egypt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would probably call that hate speech there because of their culture, right?
Yeah.
And
well, they'd say blasphemy.
They'd say blasphemy, yeah.
But that's the religious equivalent.
It's kind of the religious equivalent, yeah. And so it's like, I don't know, man. Yeah. Like I want people to have, I think everyone should have a right to their platforms. But I don't know what the limit is.
Yeah.
I'm not the arbiter of that. I really don't know. I don't have enough time and experience on this earth to make that kind of... So you would
not like to be appointed to the Supreme Court?
No. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of those... I used to be one of those people. It's like 100% free speech all the time. Yes, everybody needs it. Even the Nazis, even everybody. And I think I still lean that way for the most part. But I do have doubts in my mind sometimes. It's like, I don't know what's the limit is, if there is one,
Yeah, incitement could be a limit.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's
such a very clear-cut line, and no one disagrees about what incitement is.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Incitement to what? Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Dennis, do you have any other thoughts on that before we go back to a listener mail?
Oh, not really, no.
None at all? Not curious about how much work our friends behind that wall do to keep our... Now, let's see if we can get another listener mail in here.
Engineers.
Do you have a... Oh, yeah.
Let me see if I've got one.
Oh, no? All right. And then, Dan, you haven't... I skipped you.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, I don't watch the show that often, but I'm pretty sure you just...
how turns work. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, why don't you give us a story?
Okay, so
hopefully yours is...
This is interesting.
Yeah.
So this is from CNN, UK government to ban gay conversion therapy. Okay, so just reading through the top here. The British government is planning to outlaw so-called gay conversion therapy as part of an effort to counter intolerance and discrimination. The £4.5 million initiative follows a survey of LGBT people that found 2% of the 108,000 respondents had undergone conversion therapy, while 5% have been offered it. The survey also casts light on the discrimination faced by lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgendered people, with more than 2/3 of participants recording they avoid holding hands with a same-sex partner in public out of fear people will react negatively. In a statement, British Prime Minister Theresa May said she had just been struck by just how many respondents said they cannot be open about their sexual orientation or avoid holding hands with their partner in public for fear of negative reaction. No one should ever have to hide who they are or what they love, they said. This LGBT action plan will set out concrete steps to deliver real and lasting change across society, from health and education to tackling discrimination and addressing the burning injustices that LGBT people face. They're launching this new initiative, which is going to coincide with Pride Week in London. The announcement coincided with the Pride Week in London, excuse me. Yeah. And so, it's pretty interesting. That
looks good on you,
Looks
Britain.
good on UK, yeah. So let's bring that over to America, and we're all good to go.
Yeah.
You know,
not this administration.
Yeah, I remember seeing gay conversion therapy billboards in my hometown just like 2 years ago, like not even that long before some people protested where I live at. So, you know, it's wild.
Sends them to the re-education camps.
I've heard terrible stories about what they do in those places, and I hear it varies as well, the kind of techniques, because I mean it's not really scientifically based, so it's kind of anything goes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean I've heard everything from like electroshock to, you know, all kinds of.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like its degree of scientificness. There's a lot of fields. So, 0 is a measure of scientificness, to be clear. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that are unregulated where people just do whatever the fuck they want. Like if you go in for an addiction to help with that, you can get anything basically.
Right.
But I mean, I'm all for them not having non-science torture, and it does bring up the fact that even under, I'm trying not to sideline this.
What did you say?
What?
You're all for non-science torture?
I'm all for banning non-science torture.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You missed a crucial word.
Missed a word there.
I was like, that's going to go on a quote somewhere.
That's going to... Don't tell them, no.
It's going on a meme.
Oh, God. The president of the ACA.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do their job for them, Jamie.
No.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah. There's an Instagram account dedicated entirely to hating on Eric and myself.
All right, cool.
We find it hilarious.
I made that. Did you not?
Was that you?
No, I'm just kidding. That's not me.
We've been trying to find the person. Because honestly, I can't tell 100% whether it's parody or not. It's probably.
What if I did and that just came out to you right now that I made it? Would that be?
Well, this would be entirely appropriate story to come out during. Yeah, no, it's good that there's a turn away from, well, I think that's icky, so let's change the people that I don't like.
Right.
Just as a social idea, as a good way to go.
Yeah.
I think the problem is we're all entirely in agreement on this story.
There's no argument.
This is why you should never talk about good news, because we're all in agreement with reality about how good this is.
Well, it's just crazy to me that this is still happening. Like that we still have to have conversations on why this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so enlightened now, right? But it's like, you know, when I was a Christian, I thought that like being gay was wrong. Like that was a belief I had, but I didn't have any like good reasons why besides like the Bible says so.
A verse.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no really good like secular reasons why outside of like God says so that I can think. I mean, there was always like, oh, well, there's higher transmission of like STDs and things like that. But it's like fine, don't have sex with someone that has STDs. I don't, you know, just letting people live their lives and not bothering them. You know, some people just have a problem with that. I don't know. It's very strange to me. I don't really understand.
Let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was, I'm not going to say the church, but there was a church that I did hang out with for a part of a time, and the college group had like one of those spring break conference trips things, and there was a guy there that was talking about a gay conversion therapy thing he was a part of, and he did this presentation about how gay men are usually gay because they didn't have like good father figures in their life, and it was like their testosterone just wasn't as high or something. And it's just like,
oh, good grief.
Like, look, I know many manly gay dudes that are gay, like, they're pretty buff, and they could beat me up for sure. You know, you can't just say stuff like that. And it was just when I heard this from these people, I was like, this is just wild. Like, you guys just like accepted that as true because like it confirms with something you already believe. You know, you didn't even bother to fact check this dude because like every single thing he's saying is like absolutely like empirically wrong. Like you can look that up and test that. So
objectively wrong.
Objectively wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you heard that from Objectively Dan.
That's right. Yeah.
You should know.
I'm a subjective social construct, but even then I'm still subjectively objectively Dan.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're also objectively existent, or at least the basis for that social construct is objective.
Am I, Jamie?
Yes.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Is anything real?
What is that thing Jaden Smith says? He's like, how can we see mirrors if our eyes aren't even real? Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my God.
Jaden Smith's Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
So good.
That's kind of old now. But
I haven't seen that.
Oh
it's
my
really
God.
funny.
We can't bring that. This is fun. I was like, oh yeah, we're hanging out. Bring up a thing, and nope, we're doing a show. Well then, let's see. Yeah. So, do we have listener mail now?
Yes. This one looks like it went through okay. This is from. Oh boy, I'm gonna mangle the. This is from Gus. Let's put it that way. Hey, guys. If you didn't know, I figure you would want to know that the opening commercial before your podcast was for Grand Canyon University, a very Christian institution. I figured it has something to do with my location in Tucson, Arizona, home of some of the satellite offices. I drive by one every day on my way to work. In fact, just a heads up. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have control over what ads go in front of our
No, and
show.
I, for one, wholeheartedly support them spending money and that money going to us. And I would say to our listeners, watch the entire ad and then click on it.
Oh, yeah?
And then leave that tab open. Scroll around, click on some things, read through every page of their website or read through every page of the website. Click on everything. Engage as much as you can with those ads. Give us the money. Yes.
This actually reminds me of...
All right.
Well, every click counts. Sorry to respond entirely in the opposite way that he would have expected.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That reminds me, this was from pretty recently, actually. YouTube actually got slammed for having anti-gay ads on some gay videos, like on YouTube, from gay content creators.
Right.
And it was from like some organization that was promoting, I don't know, like I guess they were against
gay conversion.
Yeah, probably gay conversion therapy, some other stuff. But it's kind of interesting when that kind of happens because it's all just this is what happens when you let the
algorithms decide.
When the robots win, Jamie. You know, this is what
I am in favor of
This is
robots.
what Will Smith was talking about in iRobot. This is what he was warning us.
We just have to teach the robots context. That's all. And everything will be
of all
fine.
these motherfucking robots on my motherfucking website.
Look, man, humans can't even operate with context. I don't know. It's like...
We need to teach the humans context so that they can teach the robots context.
Yeah.
Or we'll teach a robot to teach
Well,
context.
hopefully we can get the robots to avoid a lot of cognitive bias.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
As long as they're not fascist robots, I think we're fine.
As long as they're incorruptible, I'm fine.
That's a big if. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, Dennis, do you have any strong opinions about what ads play before people hear your melodious voice announcing our arrival?
Well, the only concern I have about ads that play before a video are that you can quit them after 4 seconds or 5 seconds.
5 seconds, yeah.
I don't like these, your video will proceed in, 30 seconds, and you're sitting there watching
the
this
ads,
advertisement just drone on, and you're waiting.
Yeah.
See,
Turn the sound down.
We live in a post-adpocalypse world.
I got YouTube Premium, so I don't even mess with it.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Not every...
That's not... I only have it because I watch so much YouTube already.
Yeah. You have to. You'd be wasting years of your life if you didn't.
Yeah, so I'm already wasting enough time. Let me not waste as much. Let me minimize that,
Speaking of people spending money on things, The Non-Prophets has a Patreon, and
Dun, dun, dun.
we need you to help us be us.
And I need to put that in the intro, damn it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I do.
Dennis,
I definitely
wag
need
of
to do
my
that.
finger.
I will do that.
Yeah, so it is patreon.com/TheNonProphets.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where you can go to become a patron of The Non-Prophets. And there's lots of excellent stuff there.
Yeah.
They still have it up, and I feel like there's more things, but
there it is.
I mean, basically, it's limited per show, so we're not gonna jack around trying to take your money. You have entire control over how much, when, and if you give us enough money for us to buy bread, so we don't starve, and our 20 orphaned children that we've adopted from Ghana can live, but that's fine. You don't have to give us money. That's fine.
How do you have it
can keep
arranged? Is it a single subscription per month? A single
Well, it's
fund per month?
per
show?
For a split second, I was like, "Oh no, the children have plenty of room to run around. That's how we have that arranged." But no, it's by creation. So you do a a per episode donation amount, and then you can limit it. So you can say,
you can
all
cap
right,
it per month. Yes.
cap it per month. And I think
That's something I remind my patrons.
Yeah, you can cap it per month, which is a feature I didn't know about, which always stopped me from doing YouTube channels, because I was going to just create like a million little tiny little videos because of the ideas I had. And I was like, there's no way you could get it. $1 per video, 30-second thing. But yeah, so you can cap it. You can cap it at 4, you can cap it at 2, you can cap it at 1. We're only going to produce, first and third Wednesday of the month.
Two episods.
2 episodes a month. But if you want to donate monthly, you can say, okay, I want a $500 per episode donation, and then limit once a month. And then as long as we go on, you've given us $500 for the month.
Yep.
But don't worry, there's no limit that I'm aware of on the amount that you can give. So it could be $500 or $600,000. Those are all
$1 million.
Yeah.
But I sort of prize the lower tiers more than the upper tiers.
Yes.
Because if you later lose an upper tier contributor, boy, suddenly you've got a big decrease in
what you want
funding.
are lots of little fans.
Lots of
that
little
way,
ones,
if you piss some off, that's good.
That's right.
Yeah. Although, as far as big donations go, if someone decided to donate $666,
we're not going to turn them down.
We are not going to turn them down. Certainly not. Walk the whatever it is left-handed path, as they say.
We will be grateful for their generous contributions.
Weren't we in the middle of talking about a story just then? I'm the best host of this.
There was advertisements in front of.
There are advertisements in front of the thing. Yeah. I think actually
you don't get to pick the advertisement.
No, we don't get to pick the advertisements. We don't get to pick which people are advertising to our listeners and therefore being disappointed by not increasing church attendance.
That's right.
At their ministry.
No, I don't think YouTube does. I don't think YouTube targets the advertisements to the viewer, do they?
I think they do. So the advertiser. So for example, if you watch, what is her name? She was on Everybody Loves Raymond as the wife, and she was ex-Scientology. And so she'll go and she'll do interviews, and there's YouTube shows that have interviewed her.
Right.
And so if you go and you watch one of the shows she's on, the odds are good that you will get an ad produced by the Church of Scientology talking about her before then. And as a person who is the president of this organization and wants it to survive forever, that's all I have to say about that.
Right.
Nothing else. All hail the glorious Church of Scientology, or whatever. Yeah.
We're interested in self-preservation here at the Non-Prophets Show.
Yes, we must continue to be alive. All right. So I actually also had the government conversion therapy story, but I guess that means I'm grabbing.
Oh, well, thanks for telling me that before the show, Jamie.
Well, thanks for telling me that before the show, objectively, Dan. That was objectively a dick move. No.
Man, so I guess I got to change my name now because you guys have kind of just run it to the ground.
Oh, no. You could be Dan the Atheist Man.
Jamie calls me that every single time I come here.
I know, just because it makes him flinch.
But I think at first you honestly thought that was my YouTube name, right?
At first I thought it should be your YouTube name, but objectively Dan is good too.
It's just it's fun.
Yeah.
All right, what you got news for us?
Okay, so I have a second piece of news, which is that an Indianapolis church is trying to condemn our immigration policy, and so they have locked up.
Oh,
yeah! Did you see this?
I
they
saw
locked
the
up
picture.
the
It's
image
beautiful.
of Mary and Joseph in it's like a little. Here, let me. I don't know, Dan, if you can see that.
I can see the video. Yeah,
it's like the chain link fence.
Right.
Locked around
it's
them.
not a nativity that's.
She's got the baby Jesus. Mary's got the baby Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that the whole thing? Because they couldn't get to the end because they were detained at the border.
Right.
So.
Right. Yes. And they're behind a fence, and it's just yes.
It's sort of sometimes. Sometimes you find yourself agreeing with. Men of the cloth.
So that's something I've always been a supporter of for a long time, is this idea of atheist groups or movements being in partnership or alliances with more liberal Christian organizations and stuff. And some people turn away to that because it's we don't want to support any of this nonsense and stuff like that. And I understand why that says, but if we're in the business of solving policy problems and trying to make real political changes and stuff, I honestly think that's kind of the way to go.
If we're trying to reduce, objective suffering, we got to do something. You gotta hold your nose if you have to, but
Well, I would say there's a danger to that as well, because a lot of times you'll be working with a liberal leaning, I don't know, more humanist leaning church or pastor, but any money that their church gets as a result of this or awareness goes into
careful.
All of that, and their money is off the books. But also, I mean, where do you draw the line with that?
So here's the thing, though, Jamie. You got to think about this.
Believe in irrational stuff, and it's not
just that.
Can you then trust them? Because they.
Well, I mean,
if a church is making a statement that doesn't necessarily align with the rest of the Christian movement, right? A pro-immigration stance, I'd say, is pretty controversial, especially if you're part of the Southern Baptist Convention and your church is saying something like that. You can get removed from whatever. You
can be kicked out of the Southern.
They're putting stuff on the line, to make that statement.
I would say that I would rather them do that because, and especially because a lot of these people pro-immigration meeting places and stuff like that, where these political activists, they're meeting in churches a lot of times because churches will offer out those buildings and stuff. And a lot of these people are church members, and majority of people who go to these things, I think, are Christian people. So it's you got to work with who's on your side.
I agree, but there is also a limit of there's also the danger of oh no, it's fine. This one's not as bad, because when you start to partner with an organization or work with them greater, then you begin to understand, no, they're not just participating in this pro-marriage equality march. They also don't recognize trans rights at all.
It's got to
think that, yes, they're pro-marriage equality, but they believe that all marriages are equally sinful.
But what organization is ever going to completely align with everything that you?
None. It should all just be my organization.
Yeah, and so it's I
just me.
I see what you're saying, and I think. I think it's okay to, if it's a single issue thing.
Right.
I think that's the best we can do in our case. Our group of people that we identify with is always going to be the minority for at least a while now.
For now.
And you got to be careful about inches and miles. I mean, give them an inch, that you're never getting that inch back, and they'll keep getting more and more and more.
That's why I support the metric system.
Awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I make a stupid aside that has nothing to do with anything?
I think I'm going to go ahead and say that the stance of this show should be in favor of stupid asides, just selfishly.
I went looking for a metric tape measure. And I went to Lowe's and I went to Home Depot. Nope. Never heard of metric in the tape measure department.
Never heard of metric?
Never heard of it.
No, well,
like
it was so universally inches only that I went. Is this some new strange?
Is this Trump's America?
Yeah. Is this a new policy from this administration?
Do we need
it's so absolute?
Do we need some metric representation? Is that what's going on?
We need. Yes.
Is that,
metric.
Those effete Europeans with their metric system, right? Inches not good enough for them. Yeah.
What a world.
So weird.
Well, it's weird because
ultimately I found one, but
okay. Do you mean that you found one that's just metric or one that has metric on it as well?
One that had inches and metric.
Okay, because I have one of those. I got mine at Lowe's. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I went to Lowe's and I had that huge rack of things and I looked at them. No, it was all...
Well, I would ask you what brand.
Yeah, this is great radio fodder, guys. That's really
I think it is. You know what? You're fodder. So let's...
Your fodder. Ooh.
Your fodder and mother. So...
so that was an aside, sorry.
Yeah.
Way off track.
Well, yes. And I wonder how many feet and meters the chain link fence around the quote-unquote holy family that this guy put up.
Well, we could measure it in inches, but then we'd have to do a conversion to get...
There's a lot of
conversion going on. I don't like this.
You're allowed to build the wall if you do it all in metric, and then they'll just give up
they'll
immediately.
Give up because there's no tape measures.
There's no tape measures. You can build it all, but you have to do it by hand yourself, Mr. President.
All right.
But he goes further into it, and it's like, they were a homeless family with nowhere to stay.
Right.
And it's like, he makes the point, Carlson, the pastor, said, I think our faith tells us where we need to be. The fact that it's conscious. I started reading it, and then he starts talking about his faith, and I eat my words. But the fact that it's controversial isn't because I want to be controversial. What's controversial is that we're turning away from the values that should be guiding us. The point of a religious icon is to move our hearts. This is him talking, not me, obviously. If at first people are upset by it, that might just be God trying to, move their hearts. I hope they're...
could be Satan trying to move their hearts.
Yeah. Well, basically, if you get rid of all of the religious context, basically what he's saying is a justification for sending a message in an artistic way that...
as long as he's not saying that these values come from his religion specifically.
Well, he's saying exclusively. He's saying faith. He's saying it in the most soft way possible.
Right. Okay. Good.
He sounds like a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'd go have a beer with him, and not just because then I could say, I got a priest drunk, but no, because whatever. I drink a lot of beer.
It's more my alcoholism that's the problem.
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of alcoholism in me.
All right.
Well, that's enough of detaining families.
Yeah.
Said everyone not in the administration. Did you have another...
the only thing I was thinking to add to that is I didn't realize this when I was a Christian, obviously, but there are a lot of pro-immigration kind of verses in the Bible.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes from the prophets and stuff, Jeremiah and stuff like that. They talk about the sojourner, and what you're supposed to do with the sojourners and the widows and people who are, without fathers and stuff and who are traveling. And it's kind of interesting. Obviously, I wouldn't use it as a justification for any kind of decision-making policies and stuff. But it's so interesting how politics and religion kind of coincide to kind of form this narrative, and how you take certain passages and you take Jeff Sessions, for example. You take these certain passages and you create these narratives on what is supposed to be true and just based on which kinds of things you've
based on cherry picking.
Well, you do the same thing with values when you're trying to make well-formed policy arguments. So you say, okay, because of like if you were going to try and defend a detention policy like this, a quote-unquote zero tolerance illegal immigration policy, which actually is an accurate description of what they're doing, you would say the value of needing security trumps the value of, human
decency.
Human decency.
Yeah.
Right. But they don't have an idea of contemplating values in order to figure out what's going on. They have there must be a direct answer.
They have their freaking rule
book. My big answer
book.
book.
Yeah, they resort to their rule book.
Super great at all. Not.
Yeah.
So, did you have a news item, Dan? Or
another news item? Well, no, I do not have another news item
yet. Ready yet? You're about to cue it up, Dennis. We got more listener mail.
I think I'm out of listener mail.
Wow, are we just like more efficient today? We burning through them stories like I don't know, some combination of like arsonist visitors to a strip club making it rain flaming dollar bills, something.
That was not the direction I thought you were going to go.
What direction did you think I was going to go?
I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know it was going to go there.
I don't know. Like it was something like, I don't know, it was raining today, so making it rain, burning through things, you burned through money. Mm-hmm. All of this is me vamping because hopefully there's another piece of mail, but it is how I'm going to pretend that this isn't just normally how I talk and think.
Here's a fun one. I got a fun one. The flying spaghetti monster visits Washington, D.C. on National Pasta Day. Do you know
when is National Pasta Day?
I don't know. This was submitted 11 hours ago on Reddit.
So probably today.
But today's 4th of July. Is National Pasta Day also 4th of July?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean,
could be.
I'm not up to date on my Pastafarian theology.
It involves pirates and...
It probably is, honestly.
Yeah.
But, the National Day of Prayer coincides with the National Day of Reason.
Does it?
Yeah.
I heard once that Atheist Day was April 1st because...
I think it was.
Because,
although... There is a movement to plan the sort of global event of Atheist Day on, March 23rd? The first one being 2019.
Why is that? It's just to change it, just to change it up.
Well, they're not saying you can't have April Fool's Day as well.
No, but it was like the thing was it was like Christians that were saying April 1st was April. I think I don't think actual atheists were saying that it was because it was saying only because they quote that verse where it says like only the fool knows that
the fool has said in his heart there is no God.
Yeah, the fool says in his heart there is no God. Yeah,
I don't even know if we have an Atheist Day.
Well, it's going to be.
We do.
We do.
So remember they were talking about this when we went to American Atheists because in some Muslim countries they wanted to talk about National Atheist Day to kind of bring awareness to people who were atheists in.
Yeah.
I can't remember which country specifically. I don't know if you remember. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, with Muhammad.
Yeah. And so
he's planning an event called the Atheist Day.
National Atheist Day. Yeah. Okay. So
on 23rd.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was trying to find the.
Okay,
right
so I'm dumb.
You're right. No. So you remembered a thing that I mentioned but didn't explain.
But I didn't
correctly.
have the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah.
And knowing is half the battle.
It's for Iran, and that's why they have the green circle, because wearing a green hijab.
Yeah.
Although there's more. Basically, tensions is the wrong word, but energy behind the no, you can't have a law that forces women to wear hijabs kind of movement in Iran continues to. I keep seeing memes and events and things happening, and there's it was like earlier this year, there was the person holding a burning hijab on a stick. She was wearing a hijab. She's in favor of herself wearing a hijab, but as opposed to a law,
an enforcement. Yeah.
Which
you can wear. You should be able to wear anything you freaking want.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I should be able to wear a hijab. But I just don't know how to wrap it.
But you shouldn't be forced to wear stuff that somebody else wants you to.
Yeah. And that's why I wear my shirts inside out.
Well, there you go.
Oh.
Honest answer. It's part of it.
Too.
That's I just smell bad.
Okay. So the smell's unrelated to the shirts.
Whoa.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
This got dark real quick.
You dick. No. Well, it's better than Eric, who accuses me of farting every other 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's your fault for inviting me to the show. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. I invited you in, and you've made a mess of the place. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Nah, you're good. So whose turn was it? Did you have a...
I'm out of mail, but I have a question.
No one said it. Oh, do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Well, then.
I have a question.
What's your question, Dennis?
How easy is it to screw up God's plan?
That's a really good fucking question. Holy shit.
You're talking about the Drake song, right?
I'm not sure, but it's like...
If you sing the words wrong, it's pretty easy.
I would be... no offense, Dennis. I would be very surprised if he was talking about Drake's song. No, but you have a question about how easy it is to mess up God's plan.
I mean, okay, we're presented this narrative that the devil, would like nothing better than to screw up God's plans, right?
Yeah.
Well, all the devil has to do is sit on his thumbs then. Because if he doesn't create the Antichrist, then there's no Armageddon. God's plan is all fuck to hell.
Maybe that's what happened.
All he has to do is sit on his thumbs.
So that's interesting, right? Does Satan have free will?
Yeah.
I think this goes back, because a while ago you asked, does Satan work for God?
Right.
I think we have, or he has to.
He has to.
Because it would be the easiest thing in the
prison.
world. To, like, what leverage could God use if they're enemies that he wouldn't use immediately anyway to make the devil make the Antichrist? Like that...
I think you broke.
I just broke Christian.
Everything. Yeah.
I mean, if you say everything is God's plan, and God is good, then everything is good.
So here's one I had.
There's no evil.
Here's one I hadn't thought about until recently. So if we're talking, it depends on your theology of Jesus, right? Because this is, whole wars have been thought about this. But if you think that Jesus is also fully divine and fully human, and if part of being fully human meaning you have free will, does Jesus have his own free will, or is it also part of God's thing? Or
can a being who knows everything it will do for the entirety of existence be said to have free will?
Yeah. And there's also that question of, did Jesus know everything while he was on earth?
Right.
Because a lot of people
we don't
say
know.
That.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of...
Well, but that's also why he's eternal and unchanging, so presumably he's the same when he's on earth as when he's in heaven.
Presumably Jesus wouldn't be unchanging because he had to, grow up and stuff, right? I mean, maybe his physical...
Well,
body.
He was born a 33-year-old man.
Yeah,
I have to assume he downloaded his brain to a hard drive till it was empty, and then went to Earth and grew up as a kid, and then when he ascended,
he
downloaded the whole thing back into his brain, and he's God again.
Well, not to deviate from all of the various and diverse Orthodox Christianities, but in early Christian writings, there's this Docetic view, which was that God was fully divine, and so one of the translations of Jesus, the story of Jesus being on the cross and saying, "Why have you forsaken me?" translates to "Why have you left me behind?" And so the idea of, there's this spirit thing that is the Christ entity that came upon him. So
inhabited him.
Alien possession.
And then when he was crucified, it left.
Yeah, and then it was like, meh, fuck this shit, I'm out. And then it left for him to get crucified.
That's really horrible.
I mean, it is, but it's also just a different idea. Which I think solves some of these problems.
It's just that none of the lessons that come from those events really are
it's
good.
all terrible.
It's all terrible.
And
that's
the other thing, too, because you're supposed to let the Holy Spirit into your heart. And And so this was always confusing to me, even as a Christian. It's does that mean the Holy Spirit does stuff for you after you let it happen? Or are you still in control? Or is he just kind of like an advisory role? well? Does he just kind of sit on your shoulder?
This is why I'm not worried in case someone converts me to Christianity somehow, because I can immediately answer that question. No, think about it this way. It's like you have the most awesome energy drink in the world. It gives you the energy to go out and run and Jesus better than anyone else. But you still use that energy in the way that you can. It lifts up your energy. Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
Like a spiritual
I'm really glad that I have this, because otherwise I think I might be an effective youth pastor.
I don't know. That's strange.
Wow.
Not to be self-aggrandizing, but yeah, I could totally corrupt the youth.
Well, you also couldn't be a Christian again unless you were given faith too, right? Because there's that.
I thought faith comes from within.
Well, so there's that verse.
I don't know.
So chapter 2.
That's where change comes from.
Chapter 2 in Ephesians, I think that's verses 8 through 9.
I feel like a youth pastor now.
I know. Well, it's former,
Sorry.
former,
This is helpful.
evangelist here. It's like, grace is given to you by God. Or your faith is a gift
from God.
Is a grace
Right.
of God. So if that's, if I don't have the faith, then you almost you
It's
can't
like,
be a Christian.
well,
unless,
give up the faith. Give up the faith. Give up the faith.
give up
Here we
the
go.
faith.
There we go. That song doesn't work.
Can you give up gifts from God?
I mean,
Because if it's then you're interfering with God's plan.
and that's how easy it is to mess it up.
Yeah, so it's
Full green
unless that was part of his plan.
Unless that was
He's
part of his
plan.
God's playing
Yes.
5D chess.
Yes.
Right?
God's playing 5D chess.
After the fact, you can always say, "Oh, that was always part of God's plan all along."
All along.
Yeah. It's very much. Yeah.
It's all part of the plan,
Everything
boys.
you thought was evil was
it's
only
like-
misunderstood good.
Yeah. There's that trope of the villain is defeated and the ultimate power weapon, blah, 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 and the good guys have done it. And then the bad guy crawls out and goes, all according to plan.
According to plan, baby.
Oh, yes. Oh, no one believes in God anymore. All according to plan.
Or at the end of the movie, you have the end, and then a question mark appears.
Yes, and then Nick Fury tells us he wants to join the Avengers. And it's just, it gets crazy from there.
Yeah.
So, unknown? I don't know.
Yeah,
Did we come up? Well, so if you asked specifically how easy would it be for the devil to mess up God's plan?
That's one way. Yeah, the devil
but I
can
feel
definitely do it.
So,
because because there's a prophecy of the devil doing a thing, and if he doesn't do it, that screws everything up.
yeah. So I think it depends. If you're talking about, oh God, here. This is the apologetics wheels are turning.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Watch out. So if God's plan is the result rather than the way of getting there, then Satan either creates the Antichrist, which will hopefully be defeated, or you are actually an evangelist.
But
How far
then-
off am I here?
So here's what I would say.
Creates the result?
So you can make a prophecy, and
Then what does plan mean?
you're missing the greatest out here, right? You can make a prophecy, and if it doesn't come true, you say, "Oh, he was a false prophet." Bada boom, bada bing. And actually, a lot of people don't know this, but the Book of Revelation was a very controversial book in the original canon. A lot of people didn't even want it. When Martin Luther was creating the Protestant canon, he wanted to take it out. That was one of the books that he wanted to take out. And so, a lot of the Old Testament books were taken out from the Catholic stuff, but all the New Testament ones that he wanted to take out were still kept in. But we could be living in a world where we wouldn't even be talking about it because it wouldn't even be in our Bibles right now. So,
But isn't the Book of Revelations the one with the dragons and the fire-breathing Jews? How can you take that out of the story? It's the most interesting part.
I mean, yeah, if you know what it's talking about, I guess. Have you ever read it? It's not very. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild, and then having the historical context and knowing writing apocalypses as a thing.
Yeah.
So the best analogy for this I've heard is if you go back to an ancient manuscript, right? 1,000 years from now, people are trying to understand the words of a limerick. And they're trying to understand why you would use this specific word or that specific word, but you're unaware of limericks as a style. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know why they chose these two words at the end of the line if you didn't know, oh no, it's to try and get this rhyme scheme. There isn't actually whatever it is.
Yeah, so you're saying the symbology being used in prophecies is this kind of the same way? If we don't know the context.
It's like if you know the context, the Whore of Babylon is Rome. and it's like it's very clear cut what it's doing, right? It'd be like someone looking back at like a political cartoon that was drawn now. If you knew the context of it, it'd be like, okay, that's a drawing of Trump, that's a drawing of Obama, that's
right.
You know, a wall. This person's dishing up a platter of censorship. I don't know, but
I don't know. My favorite things that come out of
but it does sound batshit.
Like the crazy, and most like Christians are nice people and they're smart people and
most people are
they're
nice
good.
people.
No, they're like most Christians are just great people, but there is that tiny minority, Jamie, that like likes to take prophecies in the Bible and use it to apply it to like daily things going on in the news right now, and those are like the most entertaining things in the world.
Yeah. The problem is they're the loudest.
Yeah.
Well, because everyone else is nice and doesn't shout too loud.
Yeah.
Right.
You mean the like, oh, but when have there ever been this many wars going on at the same time?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, so many in such a small period of time. Like, that's one of my favorite phrases is when you can tell that they're making a statement like, this many disasters in this short period of a time. That person has never, ever looked at a timeline of disasters.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're right, like, ooh, in a 2-day period, this is the most number of disasters. They don't know. And they don't know if you ask them, like, okay, what would constitute a disaster? Like a local flooding event. Like, ooh, a lightning storm that lit an entire village on fire. Is that a natural disaster? They wouldn't know. They just go with these abstract, blurry fucking ideas so they can Jesus all the time.
And I don't even think they had the concept when they wrote these of natural disasters in the sense that it's natural, right? Yeah.
It's deliberate.
So, like, every single thing that happened had to be interpreted under, like, a prophetic lens somehow. So it was like, oh, we must have screwed up somehow. We got to kill somebody here because y'all messed up.
Somebody's going in the volcano.
Exactly. It's really interesting.
It's like, well, is it the grain or is it, I don't know, guys. Well, what if it wasn't a thing? Hey, no, guys, somebody's going in the volcano.
Yeah.
That's like, I hadn't heard that one before. That's Somebody's going in the volcano. Is someone saying that in Hawaii right now?
No. I just made that
the
up.
volcano is hungry. It may not be that bad right now, but somebody's going in there.
You just got to keep throwing people in the volcano till it gets better.
It's like it's like 3 or 4 people that have rented a house together, and they're just sitting there, and it's like, well, it's your turn to take out the trash this week. No, maybe God wants there to be trash. Someone has to take the trash out, guys.
That's true. I'm not interfering with God's plan, man.
God's plan is not for communists.
Whatever turns up is God's plan.
It's all one giant stage play.
Is it?
Yeah.
If life is a dance floor, then God is a DJ.
Yeah.
But see, here's the problem is a lot of old school Christians believe that God actually does things, unlike DJs, who just stand there and look cool. Right, they believe that there's like security.
We're getting mail.
Okay, I was not expecting there to be this much defense of DJs. I know that people that do sound do things that I don't understand. You don't have to tell me about it.
You're a radio talk show host talking bad about DJs.
Yeah, I know. The sound quality on my mic from this point on in the show is going to take a serious
precipitous hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spiked dive.
Well, that's your it's your grave. You dug it.
I dug my grave. To be clear, there is a very big difference between sound engineer and DJ. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you have a degree. You know what you're talking about.
No, but I know that Vern is awesome. But I know that Vern is awesome.
This up off the top of my head.
And that DJ Peanut Butter can't do shit. So.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Call outs after call outs.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm spitting venom today.
This is the last episode of TheNonProphets. I'm glad I got to be on.
Last episode of NonProphets Radio, certainly.
Yeah.
NonProphets mime. Okay.
All right, so
let's see.
What else we got?
Yeah, let's see. Did you have...
No, I'm out.
Mail?
It's the sound of a straw at the bottom of the milkshake, man.
Yeah. Well, I started to slip into shit internet apologists say when I did my news story. But I think in any case, we should do that segment now. Shit, internet apologists say. is our next segment. Oh, it locks.
Oh,
Well,
and it affects all mics.
I'm sorry about the DJs.
I just had a vision or a moment. Did y'all hear that? There was some sort of voice from the sky. I think it was. I had a road to Damascus moment.
Jamie wants ice cream.
I think something about Lamey. Lamey wants nice things. That was something I couldn't understand. I better write this in a book.
Write this down. I don't want there to be 4 versions of this later.
That's great.
All right. So I was gonna talk about Matt Powell specifically because when I was doing research for Skylar getting a content strike, I thought that would pair well. For whatever reason, I thought two
like a nice wine.
And itself, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a nice wine and a cork food.
You can tell I don't eat fancy food because I didn't finish that
with
metaphor.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Well, you can always do cheese.
Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, you can't pair any
expert.
wine with cheese, but
You can't pair any wine with cheese?
You can't. You do. It's a specific thing when you pair a wine and a thing. So it's not just like you can't like.
Look, hey,
you are capable of.
Jamie.
It's not successful.
People should be able to have pairs of whoever they want.
All right.
Okay.
People can pair or more than 2 of anything, but no 2 winers can go together because then they're not invited to my game night.
Can you pair
they're the whiny couple?
Can you pair wine and cheese balls?
Yeah, if there's a whiny person and a cheesy person in a couple, then they can. Oh wait, no, you meant the food.
Yes. Food with scare quotes around.
And so that's
cheese
internet.
balls.
And so that's shit. Internet apologists.
All right.
No. The derailing show.
Yes. So what?
Because now we have to talk about someone who wants to execute all the gay people, and the tone is about to drop.
Yeah.
Like it's hot. So when I was doing this, and I slipped from the news story of him having the YouTube strike removed, I was reading part of his conversation, which was between Skylar, who is interviewing Matt Powell, who's the motherfucker.
Yeah. Now are we going to get hit with a strike for a third hand?
We better not. No. We've got, I think.
A third hand retelling?
No. Well, I mean, it got reversed now, so we should be okay.
Right.
It's got reversed, and fans saying stuff, and they're trying. YouTube wants most of the flag to come from.
All right.
So break it down for me, Jamie. What do we got here?
My name is Jamie, and no, sorry.
Okay. You're off the air. That's too far.
You're not in radio. You don't know.
Hey, not this radio show. Okay, that's true.
This would never fly on Epistemic.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. So it was picking back up where I left off earlier. It was Skylar saying, "You don't believe that gay people should be stoned to death, do you?" And Powell, "I believe the Bible puts the death penalty on it," because he knows how grammar works.
Yeah.
Obviously, not by me or anybody in a regular society.
Regular society. That's such a strange phrase.
We live in a regular society.
God, it doesn't let me do my religious stuff.
Yeah.
I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals.
Sure.
I believe that the Bible says clearly that homosexuality is a criminal crime. Oh, that's right.
Criminal crime.
Back up one sentence. Back up one sentence there, because the thing
I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals.
Right.
Okay,
Dodge all your responsibility.
Yeah. I just whatever, however you feel on the death penalty, right? The idea that Christians are always super pro death penalty is pretty much the most ironic thing in the world, considering their most sacred figure was executed by the state unjustly.
That's true. But I thought that was a good thing.
Well, it depends, because it's if you think that that's part of God's plan, then yeah. But if it's if you're one of those people who because there are people who blame the Jews for years and years for
the Bible says to blame the Jews,
right? So it's if you anyway,
the Bible told him to.
It's so strange. Why would you blame? Okay, you blame the Jews, but you have to thank them.
Yeah,
right.
They started the religion too.
Because
right?
I mean, if they didn't execute Jesus, the Christians would have to do it because they've got to have their salvation.
Well, no,
it's complicated.
I mean, the Christians are the only people, the only religion with a vested interest in making sure that Jesus dies.
Yeah. There's actually in the early development of the Christian church, back when there was just sort of one unnamed amalgam spread over with where no one could read or write. There was a tradition that eventually developed around Pontius Pilate that made him a saint. For that reason, basically.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is that he had to press the sentence.
Killing a dude.
Well,
basically.
but he didn't follow through, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just the poor government official
Jamie,
charged with possibly executing someone."
If I could achieve sainthood for not following through, I would be like a super saint in the church. You know, like
super saint.
And it's spin. I mean, it's like, okay, what about Judas, right? Where do Christians think Judas is? Well, they think he's burning in hell, right?
Yeah, there is that.
But
there is that Gnostic heresy.
Without
Judas's
Judas's sacrifice of his immortal soul to hell, you'd have no salvation. He's the freaking hero.
Job,
he's the OG.
He's just doing his job.
Self-sacrificer right there. He sacrificed his soul before Jesus, Jesus didn't do anything wrong.
And it all goes to God's plan, man.
Yep.
Did Jesus have a soul the same way that Jews have a soul, though? That's interesting.
The same way that Jews have a soul?
No, Judas.
Okay, I was about to say, whoa.
I guess because he's human,
there's a line somewhere, Mr. Jew. Wait.
Yeah. Anyway,
but like kind of weird that you mentioned.
Does Jesus have a soul?
The Christians are big on the death penalty and stuff. Considering that Jesus got killed, ask them if they could go back in time, whether they would rescue Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a yes.
Well, how else would you get washed in the blood of the Lamb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even rescue him.
But the bigger problem with it is, though, and it's not just like the Jesus thing obviously is a big one, but the bigger problem is if you honestly believe in a theology that says anybody can be saved, anybody can turn the other cheek, anybody can change their mind, and you kill people because they did a crime. Like, if your whole thing is...
They'll never have the chance.
You got forgiveness from God because, so you don't have to go to hell. You don't have to face your punishment because you sinned, right? And, like, you're not going to forgive this other dude for sinning.
And
Christian
you're punishing
death penalty
them.
Says, time's up.
It's...
Oh, my God.
You know?
Wow.
And
good point.
Especially if you think about...
Excellent point.
Paul. Like, Paul at least was witness to a murderer, if not a murderer himself, kind of, depending on how you define that. I mean, not really. He was at least he was there, right? He didn't stop.
Some of his guys.
And like he's one of the greatest legends of the Christian church in the history. I mean, he is the dude.
Well, I mean,
right?
Basically, the Christianity is based on the writings of Paul,
so
and the forgeries of Paul.
And there's lots of people in the Bible who murdered other people too, like Moses.
God
killed the dude. Well, I mean that's a good one.
God wins. Have you seen the death count on that? Holy shit!
So anyway, death penalty stuff is just funny. It's just really funny to me. But this was about homosexuals, I believe. So maybe we should
homosexuals. I was going to say
that sounded
the death
weird.
penalty. Definitely not gay. But were we? I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals. Is where we went back to.
Okay,
And then I'm going to read the next sentence, even though I've read it before.
Sure.
It's my favorite one in this. I believe that the Bible says clearly that homosexuality is a criminal crime.
What does that mean, criminal crime? Are there non-criminal crimes? Is that a thing?
I mean, okay, so...
Is the word criminal even used in the Bible anywhere?
Well, no, because it wasn't written in English.
Right.
But,
it
refers to
if we're talking like Leviticus and stuff.
Crimes. I mean, just in stories that it tells, it talks about people being arrested.
Yeah, it talks about people being criminals. Like Jesus was with two other criminals.
Two other criminals, thus making Jesus a criminal. So it is the government's job to kill Jesus. Boom. Checkmate.
I guess.
I've broken down.
It absolves you of any responsibility.
You're going down a path that I don't want to follow, Jamie.
Going down a path I cannot follow.
But
I have brought peace and order to my new...
I guess I don't understand.
It's a criminal crime.
Criminal crime. I choose to follow that and say that it's not him not knowing how to use English or a slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
I choose to believe that yes. So logically, if there are crimes and there are criminal crimes, then there must be crimes that you can specify as not being criminal. So we have to figure out what kind of, I don't know.
I don't think so. I just think that means, I think it's just a dumb word, Jamie. I think you're
You're overthinking it.
Yeah, I'm overthinking it. I feel like Occam's razor is this guy is dumb. But
criminal crimes.
No, that and the next sentence is it's a crime.
But it says, So Christians say this a lot, like homosexuality is a criminal crime. So like, what does that mean specifically? Does that mean, because they don't make the distinction between like having feelings for somebody versus doing.
Well, so what I was,
who's charging him with the?
Yeah.
The only judge that matters. Judge Jesus.
Jesus. I just imagine like Judge Dredd, like Jesus as Judge Dredd.
I was imagining him as Judge Judy. But
that one works too.
It's Judge Jesus. These two people are having a dispute over who gets to tear down the fence. It's like I'm trying to picture what Jesus would say in a sassy, dismissive voice. But.
So
I don't know. When I was in Catholic school, they did say there was a distinction between having gay thoughts and doing gay things.
And
so they've come around to that as much.
That's
Society
the rhetoric.
has pushed the church forward slightly.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Yeah, that's the rhetoric that's pushed now. And and there are churches that are supportive of the LGBT individuals. And one of the biggest organizations I know of is the Gay Christian Network. That is, and they have two different views on it. From what I understand, it's this idea of either you choose to be. You recognize, they don't deny that you're gay, right? But they do say like, you can either choose to be celibate the rest of your life, or you can choose to have partnership with people and stuff like that. And those are kind of the two different ideas. But either way, it's still like, it's still...
Wait, they allow the person in their church?
It depends on the personal theologies of people. Like, I think they just let people kind of figure that out, whether they want to choose to act on their gayness or to, live like a normal person. I guess it
depends on who...
And have like relationships and
other
things.
people in the town are like. But
it's
it's going to determine whether or not I'm celibate forever. But
so like this thing that is homosexuality is a criminal crime. So I guess he's talking about in Leviticus 18, where it says that like homosexuality, I think it's 18, it might be 22. Like homosexuality is an abomination, right? Yeah, and it's saying that abominations should be. Put to death.
Stoned to death or whatever.
So I guess he wants, because you can't just take all the laws there that are found in that chapter alone and just put them into modern society, right? I mean, that's kind of...
Well, it's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say the first
part.
They seem to do that, and they seem to be perfectly okay eating lobster.
And getting tattoos.
Yeah,
they got no sweat with that.
But usually you don't... This is...
The number of Jesus tattoos. There was someone who had Leviticus... that thing tattooed on their arm.
Which is fantastic.
Like, what the hell?
I love that.
If I was going to get a tattoo, I would get a tattoo of the passage that said no tattoos.
Absolutely.
But this isn't like, you don't see it this outright usually. But nowadays, like you said, it's more of it's a difference between like action and whatever. Like it's I don't see as many stories.
It's okay if they're only styling my hair.
Because I think most sophisticated theologians at least understand that like, we are redeemed from the Old Testament, the New Covenant theology, right?
Well, theologically, yes, but also I would say they're humans, and whether or not they try and Jesusify their humanness, the human part is real, and Jesus is not. And so the fact that they just live in a society where people are not stoned and executed regularly and there isn't this fervor affects the conclusions that they come to.
It's the benefits of living in a secular society, basically.
Although the fact that rhetoric like this, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, as my shit internet apologists say, is on its way back, and theocrats are just unbelievably, blatantly forthcoming about their plans, right? Like Project Blitz is a group of people that are like, oh, okay, well, if we have so many legislatures in so many states and so many places that if we get them to pass as many unconstitutional laws as possible, we'll overwhelm the court system and the court won't be able to deal with it. Is their plan now. It is entirely...
So their plan is
filibustering.
They respect the government so much, their plan is to fuck up the government.
Yes. It is no longer, oh, what is the way to change the law? It's, oh, well, here's this thing that exists that's laws and government in our society. Let's do whatever the fuck we can to it so that Jesus can Jesus all over everyone's Jesus.
Gotta love this country. I love, America. This is what we're about. This is
win at any cost.
This is what the founding fathers intended.
Yeah, they intended a society where people treated law like it was a sick game.
Yeah, happy 4th of July,
well,
everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
The Constitution was a good game design as far as it went, but unfortunately they allowed for there to be a victory condition, which is getting all the branches of government. Well, once you win that, you can put the pieces back in the box and put it on the shelf.
To be clear, that's a victory condition that exists in any kind of government. It just depends on the size and the method, right? Like if we didn't
we had all these great, push me, pull you sort of divisions of power that actually worked pretty well. Works pretty well as a game design.
It works pretty well if with the right society. And when there can be.
But of course,
unity and cooperation between the executive and legislature.
Gaming the actual system, then things start going to hell.
To be quite honest, all of the countries on the African continent, right? If you want to make a comparison between presidential systems and parliamentary systems, ones where the executive is separate, like ours, those ones fail way more often. When you have an unbelievably divided society that can't come to any agreement on anything.
Right.
So when you have cultural or tribal differences that go back more generations than anyone can do archaeology, you can't do that. And right now our country is approaching a level of dividedness on those lines, like the conditions under which our system of government. I mean, this is very doom and gloom. Once again, happy 4th of July. It's going to be great. Hopefully, the only things that explode will be fireworks. Brought it right back down again. But this is a perilous time. Don't everyone freak out. We could all be dead tomorrow.
So, I think you were trying to motivate people with that speech.
I was trying to, and then I realized I'm talking about reality.
I'm just letting you know it didn't work at all.
It didn't work at all. Well, okay, so but part of the problem is things are bad now, but they got bad through a series of steps that can be undone. It's just a lot of work, and it's a lot of educating, and it involves being more patient and a bigger person than the kinds of forces that we're opposing. And some of the damage will take probably at least 10 years to undo, but now everyone, even people that before were politically complacent, are on board and are aware. So,
and hopefully that will do some good.
We have started on the path, as best I can tell, towards fixing everything, but we can't really walk anywhere on it until,
certain things occur.
But this is a 501c3.
Well, we're going to have a civil war today, so I wonder how did that go? How did the Civil War go today?
That's right. Are you talking about Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
I have no idea.
So Alex Jones predicted that the Democrats were going to start a civil war today.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is never wrong.
So it must have gone.
You want to know what I found?
There have been post after post of people going, okay, I'll bring the s'mores if you'll make sure the fire's going. And
I found out an interesting fact.
We'll have a big civil war.
I found out an interesting fact about Alex Jones the other day. I don't know if you know this. So you know about the David Koresh Church up in Waco? The Branch Davidians.
The Branch Davidians.
He was actually there during the protests and stuff when people were like against the government, like trying to invade on these people practicing their religion freely and stuff, right? Actually, Alex Jones was the one who helped lead the project to help rebuild the church out there back in '98. Because you can go to the church and it's still there. You can take tours and stuff. And he helped rebuild.
I thought they had like a wall and a compound.
Yeah, it's a compound, but like everything got burned down. Like when everything, when the situation went down. But Alex Jones actually helped build up this cult's compound, like using money that he raised and stuff. He organized that. I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if he still is in support of that now, but it's something to think about.
All right.
Of course he is, because he's an American. Liberty, Jesus.
They're turning the freaking frogs gay. Oh man, what's the one where he's like, "What do I do, Lord? Destroy the child." that clip cracks me up every single time.
Oh, there's a YouTube channel. I think it's called Todd Dracula or something where he does these awesome edited parodies of Alex Jones. It's just footage of Alex Jones, but cut together, like not like sound bitten, but with zooms and pans and like background music.
Have you seen that super deluxe video of Alex Jones where they turned like Alex Jones with like an indie song? It sounds like a Bon Iver song. It's really good.
We'll have to listen to it.
Check that out. It's really funny.
We'll post it on the NonProphets discussion group.
Yeah, sure.
Where we will then get lots of hate mail for my like unbelievably downer "we're all gonna die" rant that I just went on there for no reason.
All right. Well, it's about time.
Is it?
Check the time.
It's 9:04.
Oh, it's 9:04. Yeah. For a second, I was looking at that and I went, "How is it only 8 o'clock? No. Oh my gosh, we've been through all of our segments." No, well, I think it is time.
Yeah.
Am I missing a cue, or is it?
Well, should I talk us out?
Yes.
All right.
Talk me down and then talk us out.
Here we go. Well, our time has passed and the imperatives of life beckon us off stage. We hope that you have viewed us with some forbearance and hold us, if not laudable, at least blameless. And if in your perseverance you feel a willingness to compound your mercy, you have but to rejoin us in 2 weeks on the 18th of July. Until that happy circumstance, we bid you long life and good fortune.